Gerry? 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 I know you know that they're here. Gerry! There we go. Good morning, Palin. Good morning, Angel. Morning, Zara. Good morning, Handsome. Good morning, Carl and Saffron and Joe. How are you all doing? Had a bit of a... I was trying to get the pellets out, but they're getting lower and lower in the bag at the moment, and as soon as I open up the pellet lid, Gerry just dives in. It doesn't matter like how high up it is. He just throws his little body in. So yeah, I had to try and rescue him whilst Fifi was also trying to get in. Good morning, Hamish and Hetland and Rob. And doing well, stealing a strawberry. Oh my gosh, I've not had strawberries in ages. Morning. Wait, did I say morning, Bulba? Good morning, Bulba. How you doing? Morning, Osir. He will risk it for a biscuit. He definitely will. Bloomin' loves them. There you go. My goodness, bunnies. I had to think what day it was today as well. The days feel all over the place. Like, I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. I have to think, like, what did I stream yesterday? Do I remember doing this stream? I guess it's this then. But yeah, one of those weeks where everything's a little bit all over the place. Good morning, Rob. Morning, Grammy. How was your repo last night? Did you have fun? Morning, Genius and Steve. I felt very torn last night with repo because I think everyone's getting into it now, and I'd already said I'd play with one group, and then I got another group were arranging to play it, and then as soon as I loaded it, someone else sent me an invite, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I wish I could play with all three. Come on in, Ginge. Our first try was a death speed run. Oh no. Morning, Revan. We had one level last night where, because there were 6 of us, and I was carrying the head of one of ours, and I put it on the thing, and there was like nothing left on the level. So we're like, oh geez, how are we going to finish this? And then I didn't see anyone for ages, and then I walked into a room and I was like, oh, is there monsters in here? I see red dots on the map. And I walked in and it was just everyone else's head was there. And it turned out that without my knowledge, they had all decided to just self-destruct. They were like, we're not going to finish this level. Everyone self-destruct. But I hadn't been there, so I was just still walking around for like 5 minutes with everyone watching me, just like, oh, I found a little something. I'll take this back to the point. Maybe there'll be other things. And then I walked into the room and I was like, oh no. You can self-destruct, yeah, if you go to the main menu. You just, you can choose to just self-destruct. Good morning, JD. Morning, Night Charm. Let's play Repo. Okay. Morning, Lifelike. Making it to 3 drop-off ones now, but not finished yet. Yeah, it seems to be that... Morning, Annie. Morning, Dave. It seems to be what happens is that there's a large object like a harp or a piano or the big golden griffin type statue thing, and that'll happen, and then like someone will find it, and then it'll get smashed up, and then you can't complete the level. Because I don't know if stuff does spawn in to make sure that you can't be like soft locked like that. But yes. Mornings, Eric. Highest you still got is like day 17. That's very impressive still. I mean, we've got like, I think we've got like day 7 or something is the highest we've got. Lazy, but it shouldn't make a difference after this weekend because the times they are a-changing after this weekend. So, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem anymore. But yeah, I'm having such a sleepy week, and I'm out this night. I was thinking, what am I trying to say? This evening, that was the word. This evening, I'm out until late, so I'm going to be even sleepier tomorrow. I thought Gerry was looking like he was giving up. I was like, should I put more down, or is he done? I'm going to move these out the way, Fifi. I'm putting them on the table. Sorry, you can have more in a bit. Just got to wait till Gerry's tummy catches up with him. Oh, Fifi, no slippies. No slippies, my angel. You look confused where they all went. She was like, there were so many more, and now they've gone. Stuff doesn't spawn in. We've got softlock quite a few times. Yeah, there's because last night there were 2 monsters, and we were thinking like, oh, what if we killed the monsters? But I think even then that wouldn't have made enough for us, because I guess that would have been like what you call it, 4,000 and 3,000 or something, I think, with them. AMA from Steve: if bunnies didn't exist, what pet would you have? I think I do love chinchillas. Chinchillas, I was literally talking to Kirsty about this yesterday. Chinchillas have a very similar diet to bunnies, and they're similar in like other such ways. So I think I'd be very tempted by chinchillas, because they are like, I mean, they do have some complications with their setup. Like, I guess in a way the most logical, look at your stance, Gerry. The most logical, like, straight switch would be to go guinea pigs, because I do love guinea pigs. Bunnies win it for me because I don't. I prefer bunny poo to guinea pig poo, because guinea pig poo is weird. whereas bunny poo, I think, is the best poo in the world. So yeah, I do love them. Hello. And I do love the noises that guinea pigs make. I love their little, popcorning as well, is very cute. Their version of Binkies. But yeah, I think like either chinchillas or guinea pigs. I mean, chinchillas are a bit difficult because they're more of a vertical pet than a horizontal pet. Whereas bunnies, like, their room is suitable for them because it is horizontal and there's a fence that they can't get over, whereas chinchillas can jump. It's like 6 foot in the air, so you couldn't really keep chinchillas in their room. You'd have to have an actual, like, ground-based creatures. Yes, you have to keep chinchillas in more of like a like a larger rat style cage. So I think it's good to have maybe, yeah, for the space we've got, I would go with guinea pigs. Our neighbours had, when I was little, had a chinchilla and the whole of the utility room was theirs with stuff to climb. Yeah, if I could like put a fence across the room that the bunnies are in and have that, just have loads of shelving and stuff in there and have that as like a massive chinchilla room, that would be amazing. But yeah, probably guinea pigs if I couldn't have bunnies. Or rats, to be fair. I would love rattos. But yeah, I think guinea pigs and chinchillas are the next on the tier. Can you get Viscacha? I mean, chinchillas are pretty much Viscacha, to be fair. They are very similar when you look at them. They're like mini Viscacha, just grey. Like a big jail cell, yeah, that'd be perfect. Like a chinchilla crime unit. Degus, I do. When I was growing up in the pet shop in my hometown, they always had degus, and it always made me look at them, and I was obsessed with them for ages, and I always wanted degus. But I think I like having an animal, like a companion. I like having the little rodents upstairs, but I think downstairs it's nice having something that you can just, like the bunnies can just sort of hang out with you. Whereas degus, I think you'd have to pay more attention to because they're more of like the nibbly, escapey rodents than guinea pigs would be, if that makes sense. Good morning, owls. Scotch isn't some kind of Italian bread or something. No, they're amazing. Like, just Google them. Just look at the images of them. They're beautiful. They're like wise little Totoros. But yes. Cosmic, thank you very much for the 73 months. And at tier 3, POV repo in real life. No, don't steal Banui. Don't steal Gerry. He wouldn't go through the cart anyway. He's priceless. No price would come up because he's too priceless. Oh, you're hiding under a table. That is repo. Yeah, to be fair. To be fair. Fifu would be like the duck. I mean, if you were rich, would you be a horse girl? No, I'm not really. Like, I love all creatures and animals, but horses, I'm like, I respect them in the same way that I respect the sea. I appreciate that they are a powerful force of nature and you shouldn't mess around with them. And I mean, I do love horses, but they're just like, it's like bunnies on hard mode. Full of horrors, yes. I think they are full of horrors. They're just, I mean, like, I wouldn't ever want to. I have seen palace cats, yes. They're so goofy. They're like a big taboo. They're somehow both delicate and strong. Yeah, the fact that people used to ride horses into battle is just madness to me, because if you meet horses, they are like the horses that we met at the Blue Cross. They all managed to panic because one of them leant on one of the electric fence and it gave them like a little zap, and that one panicked, and then they all just panicked. And I'm just like, how did they ever How did they ever get them to agree to this? This is madness. But also, they're like so delicate, but also so strong, but also so mad. They're just, I don't know. I don't really understand horse people because I used to work with a lot of horse people at the vet, and there were just centaurs everywhere. And it would be people being like, morning, Mandy. It would be people being like, oh, yeah, I had to get up at 5 a.m. and I went down, drove out to the fields and I mucked out the horse and checked they're okay and set them out for the day. And then I got here at 7:30, ready to start the day. And I'm just like, imagine having a creature in your care who doesn't get to live with you. And you have to just spend hours just cleaning poo and then not seeing them. But then again, I guess if you were rich and you could actually spend time together. But I would opt for cows over horses because but yeah, I love cows, and I feel like cows are a bit more sturdy but also cuddly and lovely. They're very beautiful. I do like donkeys. I guess if I could have like a mini horse, a tiny horse, maybe. But cows killed Sean Bean. What hasn't killed Sean Bean at this point? We've probably all killed. Who didn't have a little gap year where they killed Sean Bean? Just on my desk, yes. But yeah, I mean, if I was rich, I would like if money was endless and space and time were endless, I would like 1,000% run some sort of sanctuary where every time like an animal is rescued, I'm just like, bring them here, just bring them over. You know, when people find like pigs and sheep, or when like, I mean, the typical thing is like a petting zoo is closing down and all of a sudden we've got to find homes for, 8 bunnies and guinea pigs and 12 goats and stuff. I'd be like, bring them here. I will have the babies. That would be my dream. But it would be, yeah, a lot of work. How about a Great Dane? I mean, it's one of those things that's like, there's an Aussie guy who runs a rescue. Oh my gosh, yeah, I think I know the one you mean. He's always being like harassed by that tiny little wombat. It's just running around his feet all the time. If I were to like run a rescue, obviously you take in doggos and cats too, but I'm not a doggo or a cat person. But obviously, if there was an animal in need, you would look after them, because that's just what you do. But yeah, I probably wouldn't ever go out my way to get a dog or a cat. Whereas like I would love to have chickens. I would love to look after chickens. Because they are funny. And they can be super cuddly as well. Hello. Do you want the rest of your pellets now? Because there are still some left. Silkies are adorable. I really like the, is it the bantam ones? The little fluffy trouser chickens? I love those. I like cats, but don't like all the... Yeah, that's the thing, is like, with cats, um, it's just like cats are responsible for like the death of so much wildlife and so many wild birds, and obviously it's not as bad if you have house cats, but they are just devastating to the countryside. So I just, yeah, I don't think I would have catos. Um, I like the chickens, which looks like their feathers have all been outlined with foam tip pens. I can't think of what ones you mean. You'll have to give me a little picture of a little chimkin that you mean. Morning, Smod. But yeah, bitches. What about snakes? No, see, the thing is, okay, I guess it's one of those things that, like, obviously, I feel like everything does deserve its chance. But the problem is, if you get a snake, essentially you're saying, I'll look after this snake, but I will also be responsible for the death of like 2,000 rats. And I'm just like, I, for me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to pay into the pinkies industry to keep the, because when I looked after, good morning, Katie. When I looked after, like Luna, at the same time, my friend was saying, oh, she had to give up her snake. And I was like, I'll take Luna, but I'm not I'm not having pinkies in the freezer. I can't do that. If like I it's one of those things that you would have found a way if no one else could have taken the snake in, but there's loads of people who love snakes in the world, so she found a permanent home and she was fine. But yeah, I don't think I could do it. It's like whenever we look after, you know, catos and dogs and stuff, I'll have like a separate we have like a separate drawer in the fridge that is thank you, Dave. Thank you. Sanctuary Fundo Nana Fundano. What about a banana sanctuary? um we have like a separate fridge in the freezer. Fridge in the freezer? A separate drawer in the fridge. Some of those words are right. And also like separate cutlery that we use specifically for like those you know, their food when they come over and stuff. So it's not too bad, but that'll only be for like a week at most. Whereas if it was a permanent thing, I think it would be a bit more difficult. But yeah. My cats are indoor, but I haven't had anything else. They're used to it. I think that's the other thing is like having worked at a vet and seen like so many RTA cats coming in. It would be, and you know, like having to have those phone calls of, because the first thing you do when one gets brought in is you check for the chip and then you have to call the owners and stuff. And I'm just like, it would just be like having teenagers that leave and you don't know where they are, you don't know when they're coming home. It's just, yeah, I think it would be too much stress. And I feel the same with horses, to be honest, of like, you know, I would, even if we had the bunnies outside in the garden, I think I would just permanently worry, like, was that a noise? Was that someone breaking into the garden? Because it's not unheard of people breaking in and, you know, stealing bunnies. So I think I would, yeah, I'd always rather have, I'd rather be a controlling parent. And what happens under my roof, I can protect. But yeah. Pandora has supervised back garden time. Yeah. I think, yeah, having a catio would be nice. Morning, Ruth. But yeah. It's like the other day, one of my friends was asking, would I ever get ferrets? And I just suddenly had these flashbacks to my friends who had ferrets, and they were having to buy like, um, like livers and kidneys and stuff to feed them. And I was just like, I love ferrets, but no, I couldn't. I couldn't look after them because I would not feel comfortable having to go and do that. Oh dear, oh dear. Walnut, thank you very much for the 36 months. Thank you. Just get a slinky. Just get a stinky slinky. I love the smell of ferrets. I know it's very much an acquired taste. But yeah, I quite like it. They're so like musky. Morning, Mexicals. I keep seeing posts from my local group about loose ferrets. Are they escape artists? Very much so. Like the hardest thing I ever had to try to handle at work was ferrets. Like trying to, because if you're holding like a dog, usually dogs you can get a good firm grip on. You can have one hand on the head, you wrap your body around them, you hold their arm with your other hand, you're fine. Whereas a ferret, it's just like trying to contain, like, those tubes, the like tube things that are about the size of a toilet roll, but they're full of water, and when you hold them, they slip out of your hand. Imagine trying to hold one of those, but also someone has covered it in lube. That's what it's like trying to contain a ferret. If they don't want to be held, they're getting out. They're just crazy little guys. Good morning, Limewood. How you doing? Tea. Surely nothing's too wriggly for the queen of worms. Well, I don't try to contain the worms. I let them roam free and cause all the chaos they could want. What about the tubes you turn upside down and they go meow? And when you shake them, they go wah, wah, wah. I know the ones you mean. They're great. Hee! Like cats are difficult enough to handle in those situations. And little dogs. Little dogs are always nightmares. Oh, dear, oh dear. Hello, Rowdy. How's it going? These cats have an off button. Well, in vets, you do not scruff. There's big, like, no scruffing movements in vets, because some people do it, and there's like you don't do it. There are other ways of doing the handling with them. In like extreme cases where cats are like super angry and attacking someone, that's the only permissible time that you would scruff them. But yeah, there used to be like talks about it when we were giving our handling training and stuff. But cats aren't too bad. Do you know my favourite thing about when you're handling a difficult cat is genuinely when you were like handling a particularly difficult cat, usually someone would get called in to distract them, and the best way to distract them is someone would just get a pen and just tap them, obviously lightly, but just tap them lightly on the face, and it was enough to just make most cats go, what, how dare you? And by that point, you've done what you needed to do. So I would spend quite a bit of my job just tapping cats on the face with biros when they were angry, just being like, hello, tuk, 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 tuk. Oh, they're funny little things, they are. Funny little things. But yeah, I think it's considered to be quite a painful thing for cats to be scruffed. So it's very much a last resort in handling. Guess how you would distract Charlie at the vets? I mean, I remember once there was was it a border collie that we were, what were we trying to do? I think it was a claw clip. And my job was to break off teeny, teeny, tiny bits of one of those, not dentist sticks, but one like a similar type thing, and just feed it in tiny, tiny bits to the border collie because he was so food driven that he wouldn't pay. He was hyper focused on food. So I imagine Charlie would be quite like that. So the usual method was to wrap cats in towels. Yeah, you can wrap cats in towels if they're difficult. It all depends on the cat. Like, there are various methods. Sometimes it is easier just to get a good hold on them. I'll tell you what was, maybe this is too much information. Another method that that is very viable in holding cats is there was one of the ladies who would she was just, let's say she was breastily gifted and she found that those were good at weighing the cats down. It was like having a third arm. So she was always the go-to if you needed someone. If you needed someone to help handle a cat, you'd usually get her because she just had a way with them. But yeah, we did have the thick gloves. We had what we would call the gauntlets. So you would just put those on. Fifi, she did a little nibble in there. There was a little nibble in there. But yeah, bunnies you don't tend to have to distract because, so whereas, okay, this might be a bit, this is one of those things that when you work at a vet, you become a bit immune to talking about this stuff. So apologies if people find this sort of thing icky. But with cats, the reason why you have to, and dogs, the reason why you have to, I guess warning, I'm going to talk about blood. So the reason you have to properly restrain cats and dogs is because you take blood samples out of the neck, because that's the easiest vein, unless you're already putting in like a line into their arms, then you would take that just out of their arms whilst you're doing it, but usually it comes out of the neck. Whereas with bunnies, you take it out of their ears. So with bunnies, you don't have to actually restrain them as much. Well, you either take it out of the ears. Well, no. IV catheters would go into the ears. Sometimes you take it out of their back legs. So with bunnies, the restraining is a lot more like squishing. Rather than, whereas with a cat where you have to sort of like stretch them out and have their neck held up and also make sure they don't move, because obviously if you're like sticking something into a neck, you don't want a wriggly cat. So that's why restraining is like a lot more difficult with cats, whereas with doggos you can get a bit more of a hold. But it does also feel really bad when you're holding like a cat's head up towards yourself and they're just looking up at you the whole time and you're just there like, I'm sorry. And you're just thinking, if I ever see this cat on the street, they're going to end me. They're going to remember my face and they will end me. But yeah, you should take it from the foreleg. Yeah, sometimes you can do that. I think I was always very relieved when the nurse or whoever would say like, actually, we're just taking out the leg. I'd be like, oh, thank goodness, because it was my least favorite thing to have to do, would be to restrain for neck withdrawals. So So yeah, I'm always a lot happier holding. But yeah, but that's a past life now. It's not something I have to do anymore, is it? No, because I don't restrain a lot of animals in my day job anymore. Oh, do I have any more pellets for you? I do. Okay, hang on, Fifi. You just they're behind you. There you go. Sorry, Fifi. I put them over here. I would go back to vet life. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad that I did work there. It was one of my favourite jobs I ever did. And you know what? Even going back to working in a vet just for the sake of having a discount on vet bills would be so worth it. Because that was one of the nicest things, was being able to just bring the bunnies in whenever I was concerned about them. But yeah. But yes. Tea. Do you think you could do vet and stream in balance? Well, I used to. Oh my gosh. My schedule, before I became full-time, my schedule was that I obviously worked full-time at the vet. I did 1 in 4 weekends, I think it was. And I would get home from the vet sometimes at 8 at night, I think, and then I would have dinner, and then I would stream Stardew with Rythian on Fridays, and sometimes we would just be streaming until 2 a.m. We would just keep going, because that was back when it was I don't have a proper schedule. I stream on Tuesday evenings and Friday evenings and Sunday mornings, I think I did. So I would stream at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning, playing, which is sort of where bun streams then came from. Or was it 11 a.m. for wholesome streams? That all started because I would... that was the first day I ever streamed on, because I was just streaming Hollow Knight for Rythian to watch. And it just was Alex's parents are coming down this afternoon, so I have to do the morning. Is it okay if I do Sunday morning? And Rythian was yeah, I'll get up early. And then that just became the day that I streamed on, was Sunday mornings. And then I slowly snuck Tuesdays and Fridays in. And yeah, that was my schedule, was Tuesdays, Fridays and Sundays. And then I got to be full-time. Was working at the vet difficult sometimes? Yes, it was. There was, the days vary quite a lot, because some days you would have I remember one day where every single kennel was pretty much full. I think there were loads of cats and exotics, and there was 4 different dogs that needed to be sling walked. So, because I worked at a referral hospital, we used to get a lot of, is it a TPLO? Is that what it's called? Basically, when they're typical in sausage dogs, when they have spinal problems. So imagine someone who is my height, who's almost, just shy of 6 foot, having to put a sling under a sausage dog to walk them, so that you have to basically lift their back legs off of the floor whilst walking the front half. And the slings are only about, how much would they go up by? Probably 1.5 foot either side. So I was having to just constantly walk hobbled over, trying to walk these sausage dogs. And they would walk so slowly. And you'd have 20 other dogs to be walking. And sometimes that would just be it. I just wouldn't have I wouldn't have a lunch break because I was just still walking the dogs. And then like you'd have to clean out all of the kennels once they went home, and yeah, it was just like, although I guess actually the worst parts were I mean, if you had like a combination of sling walking and what you call it, like diarrhea. If you had, actually, I think that was worse. I think if you had a lot of dogs who had zoonotic problems, which meant that they could be passed to people, and you were having to change PPE between every single dog, I think that was the worst thing. And then you see on a sheet that a dog has like hemorrhagic diarrhea and the vet wants you to get a poo sample, and you'd be like, right. But you know what? You just sort of deal with it and it's fine. Thank you for the follow on that mention of diarrhea. You're in for a treat. But yeah, the actual sad stuff, you know, getting it all sort of like balances out. Like, I never cried at the vet because you just sort of have to get to a point where you tell yourself not to and carry on. But I remember there was like one particular doggo who I had seen a lot over months, and he was just like a favorite. There are just sometimes doggos and cats who come in and you get used to them because if they have ongoing problems. And I remember the day that he came in because they had decided that it was like time, and that was the closest I ever got because I loved that dog so much. Even though I obviously didn't know him, I just was like, this one hits. Because I guess you do just get, like, you see thousands of them, so you just get, you know, you have to sort of steel yourself to it. Whereas with him, I was like, no, I'm not ready for this. But yeah, but imagine the days when you finally get to see a dog that's been in for like a week get to go home. You know, it balances out so much when you get to see legs get mended and dogs learn to walk again, and dogs that have come from bad situations learn to be dogs again. Like, I got to see a dog who had been in a horrible situation and he wagged his tail for the first time because he realized that he was, you know, it took like 2 weeks or something of rehabilitation, but he finally realized he was safe, and stuff like that just balances out, and it's lovely. So yeah. And also you get like, most of the dogs that come in are just there for spays and neuters, and all it is that, you know, they're just in for a day and it's nice and they just get to be all happy and then a bit drunk. So yeah, I think it's just, it balances out. It's definitely not a job for everyone. But I don't think, apparently my dog was a bit of a celebrity when she had surgery a couple of years ago. Ah, yeah. I mean, you get some, who do become, like, obviously everyone gets, like, there was a dog who was one of my absolute favorite dogs to see, and pretty much everyone else dreaded her coming in, but I loved her so much. And everyone else would be like, oh God, her name is on the sheet today. And I'd be like, yay! Because she would just try and kill everyone, but she was so old and she had like no teeth, and she was this tiny little Yorkshire Terrier, and she would just constantly be trying to murder you, but you'd just be like, you can't kill me because you got no teeth. And then I'd pick her up and she would just snuggle in, just like, fine. And everyone would be like, how are you holding her? And I'm just like, Uh. But yeah, like people just didn't get how to handle her, but I loved her. She'd gum you to death, yeah. But they are just, yeah. I found it a very rewarding job to the gross stuff would get to me. Yeah, I mean, I guess you just sort of like you have. That is one thing that I imagined that people would be like, oh no. I did have to spend a lot of time handling various bodily fluids, and if people aren't okay with that, then they're not going to be okay with that. But I guess it's so funny though because I can't watch horror films because I'm like, oh, blood, no, I can't do it. But I could, but I would like watch surgeries and be fine. But if I see a surgery on TV, I'm like, nope. So I don't understand. I do not understand. Um, yeah. How long did you go? Wait, how did you go from working in a vet to doing camera work? I did it the other way around. I worked in camera and TV and film for years and years and years. And then it was when Alex and I were trying to buy a house that they said we can't really, they just basically our mortgage advisor said it's easier to get a house if you have a full-time salary. So I was just like, oh, I'll just apply for a job and then get it and then quit just so I've got a full-time salary. I'll go back to doing camera work. And then I worked there for like 3 years because I loved it so much. So yeah, it was literally just to get the mortgage signed off. Holby wasn't full time at that point because I'd moved to Bristol. I mean, Holby was like the most full time I got, but basically, I hope you're all ready for a lovely story about workers' rights within camera and TV. Basically, when I worked for the BBC, you were only allowed to work there for 10 months of the year, and then you'd be kicked out until you found another job, because if you worked there for any longer, you would start getting like pension rights and maternity rights and stuff like that. So to stop you having those sorts of things, you basically I would have to leave the BBC for a couple of months, and then I would work for like Sky or ITV or Channel 4. I would do another job, and then I would be allowed back to the BBC once I had done that. So so Holby was like sort of full-time when I was working there, but not proper full-time. But also Holby City was filmed in Hertfordshire, and having to like only live in Bristol on weekends was I used to do a bit of Holby here and there. I'd do like, they had standalone blocks, which would be like special episodes where you would go somewhere else. Like I did one in Shrewsbury and one in Wales and stuff like that. But I didn't go back to it full time because it was like 6-week blocks that I just wouldn't be living in Bristol for. So it was oh no, Gerry's gone for a poo. They can have their treat when they come back. Time Intruder, thank you very much for the 3 months. Have a fantastic Thursday, everyone. Thank you. No, Holby City is filmed in Dunk's hometown of Boreham Wood. It was Elstree and Boreham Wood. Casualty was in Wales. I think maybe once upon a time one of them was Bristol, but no, it was always Boreham Wood when I worked there, which is why I used to work there, because I was Hertfordshire. Bristol, I mean, I think maybe Casualty used to be in Bristol and then it got moved out to Cardiff in the same place as like Doctor Who and that sort of lot. Um, what's Holby? So basically, in the lore, in the Casualty cinematic universe, Casualty is in Holby City Hospital, and that was the first one. That's like the A&E unit of Holby City Hospital, and then they decided to do a Holby City spin-off where so very often the actors would go between, they would like do little one-day things on Holby or Casualty. They would like send them over like a little exchange program. So they were competitors. No, they were the same. So Holby City was a funny one because they'd obviously want to have a lot of drama, but we could never have A&E type drama because otherwise it would be on Casualty. So we had things like the acute accident unit, AAU, and stuff like that. And you'd have like, oh no, this happened, but it's not that bad. It's definitely not a casualty. So yeah, it was a funny one. And then occasionally we'd get these actors over from Casualty that everyone would act like they knew because they'd be like, oh, you, blah, blah, blah. Because obviously in the lore, they're all staff that work together, but they'd never, I was just like, why does everyone know this person? I have no idea who it is. People would be like, they're from Casualty. I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I actually went over and worked on Casualty for a little bit when I moved to Bristol. I did a couple of days, and one of the actors that I had worked with for ages on Holby, there were like photos of him on a desk, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I guess he's over here. He would occasionally do like little pop-up days on Casualty, as he was like one of the ones that would go between the two. But yeah. And there was Holby Blue, which was a police spin-off, but I don't think that lasted for very long. Did your steady camera hands help you in the Buckaroo tournament? No, because do you know what happened was they said my right arm was blocking the camera when I put the things on, so could I try and do it left-handed? And well, you can see the results of me trying to do anything left-handed. Because my left hand is not, it's quite aesthetic rather than functional. So yeah, it was not ideal, but I was very proud of Kirsty doing very well. She'd best be on the other side of the table. Yeah. Cameras are heavy. Cameras are heavy, but they're generally on some sort of rig to help them be less heavy. So like a lot of it is to do with balancing. So usually you have, if it's handheld, this is, you might have like an easy rig, which puts the weight of it on your back, or you have like handheld bars and you have like a counterweight. You put them on a rig that balances them nicely, so it's not too bad. They are heavy after a while, and you do tend to get a bit of a sore lower back after a while, but it's fine. I like the big Meg suit looking rigs. And you get, I mean, hello, are you ready for your treat? Are you ready for your treat? Yeah. Okay, so, controversial, but because Kirsty is down tomorrow, I don't think I'll be able to do a bunny stream tomorrow, so the bunnies can have banana today. This was meant to be the point at which I lean forward and get the banana. But Gerry is now upon me. There we go. And there we go. Okay. Okay. So, oh my gosh, you excited? You know? Okay, hang on, buddies. Right, Fifi, you take one. Gerry, you take one. There we go. Well done, bunnies. Well done. You're so good for eating banana. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Good job, bunnies. We should start doing a thing where you all have to have like a little disc of banana and you eat along with the bunnies, like in the 90s when they did the scratch and sniff Mr. Blobby experience. You don't like banana? That's fair dues. I guess people like Xylus are allergic as well. Just have a whole banana. But yeah. Look at him. What did Mr. Blobby smell like? I don't know. I don't think he was actually in the book, but it was just stuff like, I mean, if you look up Mr. Blobby Scratch and Sniff, it was like a special episode of Noel's House Party where they would go around and they'd be like, oh my gosh, is this a strawberry trifle on the side? And then it would come up being like, scratch 19, and you'd scratch 19 and it would be a picture of a strawberry trifle, and then you would smell the strawberry trifle. Or like, Mr. Blobby has fallen in the trash. Scratch the trash and sniff what it smells like. Do they still make scratch and sniffs? I don't think so. I've not seen one in a very long time. I remember it being like a big thing when they did, having that smell-o-vision thingamabob. But yeah. I used to have a chocolate bear, and he was, because I think it was in like the scratch and sniff era, and like when you had those really nice smelling gel pens and stuff, it was like a big thing at the time. And I got this chocolate bear, and it's like 20 years later and he still smells of chocolate. Like, he still smells really nice, although I've lost him now. But when I find him again, I'll be sniffing him, and I bet he still smells of chocolate for some reason. But yeah, I guess it's time for me to leave and go somewhere else, wherever it is streamers go when they're not streaming. But I will be back at 2 for 6-8. I'll be back at 2 for a Tears of the Kingdom, the penultimate Tears of the Kingdom, and then after that I'll be doing the craft stream, but I'll be in the second half of the craft stream. I think the first half is Sarah, Lydia, Simon, Becky. I don't know. I know Sarah and Lydia are in the first half, and Kirsty and I are in the second half. I don't know who else is in any of it. Sorry, I tried. But yeah, we've decided that we're gonna finish Tears of the Kingdom on the 10th of April. So yeah, but Sarah's away next week, so it'll be the penultimate one today. But yes. Right. Who is streaming? Who we do? Does anyone have any suggestions for people that we haven't raided before? Any new people want to suggest anyone? I am down for suggestions. Loads of people. Bloody hell. The Tears of the Kingdom VODs do go on Thingamabob. I think Sahana just went. Do you know what? Sahana was being very, very lovely in chat yesterday, so maybe let's go to Sahana. They were rallying around me on my soapbox with the look after the babies rant yesterday. I see this Briny K person is live. I've heard they're very problematic. I wouldn't go rating them. They're absolute degenerates. Banana on a Thursday? I wouldn't trust them. Branders through and through, yeah. They dress up like a worm? What are they trying to do? Eat my soil and find my secrets? Always effing and jeffing, true. True. Well, everyone, double stream later. And then I had to play Big Step. Oh no, I can't. My button isn't here. Whip, 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 whip. That's the best I can do. That was my impression of a metal pipe dropping, which I realise is harder than I intended. Everyone, look after yourselves and be good. Fifi says bye-bye too. And I shall speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. You're a baby boy. He is baby. Look at he's baby. I love it when I kiss he and he puts his head up a little bit like, oh. Thank you, love like. Bye bye. A boop.